United, together, here we stand. Savannah, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength, financial insight, tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts. Practical guidance that moves you fast. Workplace wellness hour, bring substance and spark. Together we flourish, together we make our mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. That works puts growth in the frame. So mark your calendar, answer the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.
Okay, sorry about that. I think we had got a little interruption there with the intro there, but welcome everyone to the Workplace Wellness Hour. I'm back here with my co-host Ashley Fluellen and Sumana Jetty. We'll be here any second. But Ashley, how are you?
Good. How about you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, I think I got a text from Sumana and it interrupted the video, and I had to
Oh,
hit the refresh
that
the screen there.
happens.
But and there's Sumana right there. Oh, wait, she was
And there she
there and
went
she's
so
back.
fast.
There
I'm
she is.
so, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you were already live. Are you live already?
Yes, we're live. We're
We are
live.
live. Hi,
So welcome everyone to the chaos of the wonderful Workplace Wellness Hour 2026. And obviously I'm here with my wonderful co-host Ashley Fluellen and Sumana Jetty. And I am so glad to be back. Today is Monday, January 19th, 2026. It's also Martin Luther King Day here in the US. And I'm just so happy to be here with you two. How have you all been?
I'll start. I've been good. I'm in Vegas. Trevor's in Vegas. We moved him out here a couple weeks ago. I start school tomorrow, which is really exciting. And I'm just like, relaxing into this new normal of having moved across the country, and now I can start to like build. So really exciting stuff on the horizon. How have you been, Sumana?
Happy New Year, guys. I'm so sorry, Felipe and Ashley. I was running late. I'm well. It's been a very exciting and busy January, which is really good for my mental health. I think sometimes it's nice to be busy like this. It's keeping me on my toes, which is great. I just am so grateful. I just feel like there's a lot of new ambassadors who've joined, and just overall like good vibes. There's definitely lots of uncertainty, still lots of stress, but I'm trying this new thing where I literally tell myself every day that the glass is half full. I literally say this every morning, the glass is half full. So I'm trying to look at the things in a positive way instead of just getting bogged down with all the all the stuff. It just, I don't want to deal with all the stuff. So I'm just trying to stay positive, but overall feeling really happy that we're back. Well-deserved break. And Felipe, I'm so happy that you're back, and I'm so grateful that you made the time to create this space for us. I know it's been hard, and I'm just so happy that we're all in this space together. Over to you, Felipe.
Well, thank you, Samana. And yeah, it was 2025 ended really beautifully with holidays, I will say. It was a wonderful, wonderful time with the family. We had fun, we had games. Um, we did get sick with the flu, I will say. Anyone out there that just thinks the flu is a joke, I'm just here to say, here's my first PSA announcement is if you haven't gotten the flu shot, I highly recommend getting both of them because I did get one of them. My wonderful 93-year-old mother got both the two shots because there's multiple strands out there. Um, Me and my wife and my son, we were laid up for a week. And I mean a week solid. Like we were in bed, we couldn't get up. And it was the week between Christmas and New Year's. Thank God. And it was just brutal. My mother was like, "Yeah, I feel tired and I got a cough. That's about it." We were like chill sweats. So I'm just saying, if the 93-year-old had it much less than we did after getting the second shot, I think I wish I'd gotten that second shot. That's how bad it was. But other than that, it was a great holiday. I will share that unfortunately, due to nonprofits are suffering out there, a lot of lack of funding, changes with administration and how they do funding for international. Um, my organization has shrunk down by 65%. And unfortunately, we knew this was coming. Unfortunately, my job was eliminated or is being eliminated at the end of this month. Basically, I'll be through February is when I'll be with them. And yeah, so that's where I am right now. Not the greatest start to the new year, but life throws you curveballs, and so you said, Shmana, glass half full kind of mentality day by day, and that's how you have to take it. I think I did a show when I don't think I know I did a show with Melissa Houston last week, and one of the big takeaways is when you do lose a job is not thinking about why me, but what's next. And I think that mindset, we talk about that mindset being so key in wellness. And so I want to make sure that we talk about that. But today's show is about the great career reset of 2026. And this is when the promise of work no longer matches reality, which kind of symbolizes a little bit about what I just talked about, but this is not a show strictly about that. But I think that is a wake-up call for someone like me who's growing up thinking that, well, loyalty, hard work, and dedication really is something that is valued. And it's not that it's not valued, it's just not valued enough anymore like it used to be. But before we dive into that, I just want to welcome some people that have joined us already. It's great to see Melissa Houston in the room. I know we saw William Rochelle. Great to see you, Bill. Great show yesterday. Chase and Forehands in the house. Gail Weathers. Christy Williams is here. Great to see you, Christy, as always. We have, good Lord, we have a lot of people. Gregory Liverpool is here. We have Claudia. Thank you for coming. Lisa Fevick. Appreciate you being here. Meryl Cass, our master communicator. Get ready for a big storm there, Meryl. It looks like we're going to get hit. Okay, just for the little weather forecast, let us know what the weather forecast is for you next weekend, because here on the East Coast, they're saying could be 5 inches, could be 21 inches. So I don't know what's happening, but Meryl, let me know what's happening in New Jersey. And who else did I miss here? Anyone else? Oh, Leanna, thank you for joining us. It's great to see you again, as always. And Claudia, I think I said hi, but hello again. John Warner, great to see you as always, my friend. Thank you for being here. Dr. Tanya, it's great to see you as well. And Jay, good evening. All right, so listen, we're going to dive into this, but before we dive into this, I think we need to do some introductions. So I'm going to hand the mic over and let's do some introductions and our initial thoughts about the Great Career Reset and what do we know about it? What have we heard about it? What are our initial thoughts? So Ashley, I'll hand it over to you, my friend.
Sounds good. Thank you, Felipe. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. My name is Ashley Llewellyn. I am an artist and the founder of Dear Imperfect Artist, which is a budding online community committed to creativity and building sustainable practices, and more largely just developing our creative confidence. And I'm really excited about this topic for that reason, because I think with this great career reset, which I'm also, going through right now, kind of making a career change and going back to school for my career, I'm just seeing such fertile ground for like world building, and like for people to be using their imaginations more to figure out how the future of work will look, and how, even though we are working for our work, how we can make it work for us. So really excited for this topic, and excited to be back with you both, of course. And I will pass over to
Actually,
Simona
two
or
things real
Felipe.
quick before we pass over to Simona.
Yeah.
There's something in your background. It sounds like someone's shaving behind you, like a razor.
Really?
It's the only thing I can. It's like a buzzing sound. I just want to make you aware of that. And did you say last year that you were going away from Instagram? Is that correct still?
Yes, I'm off of Instagram completely, and now I'm on
Okay.
TikTok.
All right.
Me and
All
Simona
right.
had our
We
switch.
switched.
Yeah, and Sumana switched. So Sumana went from TikTok to Instagram. So with that, Sumana, over to you.
Yeah, we just mentally decided to switch, but we just didn't tell each other that we were going to do this. Actually, that's how we operate. And sorry, I forgot to mention that I'm loving Ashley's new headshot. It's so beautiful. So thank you for that new photo of yours. I really, really like it.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, it's so beautiful. Thanks. I mean, it's so nice to see like a new headshot. Welcome, folks. There's so many of you listening. It's so nice to be back. My name is Sumana Jetty. I am the founder and CEO of Jetty Wellness, and we provide corporate and now, very recently, student well-being training and education as well. I am a nerd. I love science. I love strategies that are backed by research. So we simplify those solutions and present those as training moments and educational curriculum for corporate professionals, and most recently now for students as well. So just delighted to be here. I'll pass the microphone over to Felipe, and we've lost Ashley. What happened? Oh my God. Hopefully she'll come back. Felipe,
I'm sure.
introduce yourself.
All right. Well, real quick. Oh, wait, let me see. Oh, there she is. She just came back. Hold on a second here. All right. There. Wait. No. There she is. All right, she's back. For those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I am a passionate HR executive, LinkedIn top voice, career coach, founder of Cofino Consulting, and I am somebody who's very passionate about LinkedIn and really just giving back and sharing, my experience, my knowledge for others to benefit from, especially when it comes to the workplace. That's such a huge thing that is changing so much in the world today that it's never ending, I feel like. So staying on top of that and making sure that we can do what we can to communicate some things to make it a little bit easier for you. If, as always, I will ask that since I am building and building, I'm building on YouTube. I'm not switching from LinkedIn to YouTube. I did not do any switch. I'm just still housing everything that I do. And we have a nice podcast playlist for the Workplace Wellness Hour, as well as the other shows I do on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe. Just trying to get my count up a little bit and making sure that people know where they can find my content. With that being said, I'm excited about today's topic because I think it is something that a lot of people nowadays are dealing with, and it's just so relevant. And I do have Felipe's 5, which I will share. And actually, last time we did it, which I think worked well, we're going to try it, is after each point, we all just chimed in. And then afterwards, you and Smiley can share anything additional. And then we'll go into the audience, which we will share the link in the chat shortly. So real quick, any last things from either one of you wanted to share before we go into Felipe's 5?
All you.
All right. Well, here are Felipe's 5, which I did post about today. So if you want a copy of this and save it, you can see it on my page. It is posted. But it really is about the Great Career Reset. And I know that Sumana, in her ultimate research wisdom, has researched that this is something that the millennials have been very vocal about. But we agree that it's happening across all generations. So when that promise of work of is no longer matching reality. One of the examples, like I said, mentioned earlier, is I've been dedicated, I've worked hard, I've been committed, I've been loyal. That doesn't necessarily guarantee a job. And, it's something that the reality is that people are being laid off left and right. And sometimes they're being laid off just because they're a number. Sometimes there's other reasons. But right now, let's just talk about the mindset of what people are dealing with. So the first one is the outdated mindset of that promise of work. There's no guarantee. It has fundamentally changed. And what I have at the bottom here is that security comes from adaptability, not certainty. Because let's be honest, can anyone guarantee anything today? I know I can't. There's very few things that I can guarantee. And at work, I can't think of many other than I can guarantee that I'm going to do my best to make sure that this is a good workplace. But I can't guarantee it's 100% you won't have any issues, because that's just not possible. But Ashley and Sumana, what are your thoughts? Because I really do think that adaptability, being agile, upskilling, and learning. Adaptability with AI right now is a huge example of how we can adapt and stay relevant by learning AI. So if you haven't done that, I think that's one example of where you could start. But Sumana and Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I can go first. I honestly, this word adaptability is one that I have heard from many sources, friends and family, coworkers, clients that have said to me, because last year, Felipe, was a very difficult year for me. And it's not like this year is all that great. We're just starting this year off. But adaptability is one that I have been leaning onto. And I had no idea that it was almost like not even a skill. I thought it was like a superpower that I never had, but being able to just move from situation to situation in that I used to always say that I'm like swimming in uncertainty with no life jacket. And at any point now, I might just drown. And adaptability by far has been one key skill that has kept me alive. And I can say that to all the folks that are listening. You folks are like family to us, and we've been coming here live every other Monday for 4 years now. I can't stress enough how important it is to be able to continue to learn, but not just continue to learn, but rapidly learn, and have the foresight that you can. And this is my data brain. I feel like every time something happens, I'm collecting all these moments of data, positive, negative, neutral. And science has almost taught me, being a scientist has almost taught me that if things are not working, you need to pivot really quickly and switch up the experiment. Stay true to the plot. Like, what is the outcome that you want to achieve? For me, it's my business. I love my business. I love my health. I love my friends and family. That is my plot. But being able to have the foresight of identifying those trends in the data and making those changes quickly, and connecting those patterns and be like, hey man, this isn't working, we've got to do something totally different. That this is one skill, Felipe and Ashley, I can swear by my life, that has kept me afloat. And when I started the show, I said, I'm looking at the glass half full, and I think the half full is 99% adaptability. So I love this one. Thank you for sharing this one. And I saw you Felipe's 5 earlier when you posted. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about this, because this is so true to my heart. And I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't adaptable.
And before we go to Ashley, I want to encourage people that if this conversation you think is relevant for people in your network, repost it to your network. Let your network know that we're going on live so they can benefit from this conversation. And I'm going to share some of the comments here after Ashley goes. So Ashley, over to you.
I hopped out of the room and hopped back in to see if that helps my audio at all. Is it still giving the razor in the background?
I feel like you got a guy behind you, shaving his face in the mirror. I mean, that's the only that's a visual I have.
That's so okay. I just unplugged my headphones. Is that any better?
I think it's your headphones. Did you unplug them?
Testing. Yeah, I just unplugged.
Okay, plug them back.
Okay, hold on.
Or maybe it's just your phone. I don't know. I don't know if you're on your desktop or your
I just plugged them back.
Oh, it's worse when you plug it in.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay, it's
sorry.
worse.
So go off.
Oh man, I'm sorry. No, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm gonna unplug, and then maybe I'll switch to my phone because right now I'm on my computer. So I'll say my thoughts and then I'll hop out for a quick second.
Okay.
Um, but no, I agree with you completely, Sumana. I love this first point. I think it's a brilliant way to open and start this conversation. Starting with the fact that it like the way that we are viewing work now, it truly is outdated. And I think that, like you mentioned, Felipe, across generations, like we are seeing how stability and all of these promises from work that our parents or our grandparents were promised and worked for them is no longer working for us. And I think that there's like a real kind of grief in that realization. Um, and we don't have a map yet forged for how to navigate this change, all of these changes, and the grief that we feel, kind of not knowing what's ahead in terms of work. And so I like security coming from adaptability as kind of like the first little island drawn on this map of the future of work, because it's true. No matter what uh, what your expertise is or what your job looks like, being able to adapt, being able to move with what is coming at you, like Sumana mentioned, like quickly making changes, going up to back, you're noticing that things aren't working, and then quickly pivoting and making a change, that way things can work a little bit better. That skill is monumentally effective. It literally just works to keep on trying and trying again. And so I love this as a first point. And I also just want to say, Sumana, I can't believe that in your past you didn't think that you had the skill of adaptability. You're like one of the most adaptable people I think I've ever met.
That's hilarious because I used to always think my signature strength was being a great collaborator. But since 2025, I think I'm changing my signature strength to become someone that has strong adaptability. So thank you for that. I definitely did not know I was adaptable. I think I never realized it until I was in the thick of it without my
Oh, I
life
think we
jacket.
watched you be adaptable throughout your life, and what you were sharing, it was easy for us to see. Maybe you, because you were in the midst of it, it was hard for you to see. But before we go to the next one here, and I'm going to tell you right now, this show might go an hour and a half because this comments going crazy, and we have a lot to say about this. And one thing I want to throw out there, just to, I don't know, maybe just stir the pot a little bit, not stir the pot, but get people thinking, is are happy hours coming back because the younger generation feel like they miss out on connecting with some of the mentors or leadership that they might go out with happy hour or their colleagues? Just food for thought. But as you think about that, I do want to share what Nick shared here real quick. She said that, oh, that's hard to read. Adaptable, transferable skill sets can't go only for the position titles you once did. Right now, it's where there is an opening that can fit well. So, and I totally agree with that. I think that for me, like right now, I'll be honest, I don't really care about the title. I want to make sure that I'm using the skills that I think are my strengths. I want to be able to do what I do best, and I want to have a workplace that is respectful, enjoyable, and productive. So I love that. Gail had a great comment here as well. And I apologize, it's hard to read here. She said, I learned that it's about adaptability as well as flexibility. Things are changing so fast, you've got to be able to adapt and flex to stay alive. And that's so true. And that goes back to what you said, Sumana. I love the analogy about the maps because I was thinking it is right now applying and finding a new career or changing a career or moving up in your career. It's like having to go on a trip, but Google Maps is gone and the hard maps aren't right. So you have no way of knowing should I go left or go right. It's just a very awkward time right now. So with that, let's go on to our next one here, which is addressable. And I put addressable because burnout is addressable, and we have to remember that. But burnout is a systematic issue. It's not personal failure. And I want to make sure people don't feel like that. You burnt out, well, many people burn out because they're so dedicated. because they care so much. In many cases, especially I've learned in the nonprofit world, that is such a common reason as to why people burn out, because they care so much about the work. Now, a lot of people burn out because the manager put the pressure on them. Absolutely. And that's a huge issue out there. But I want to make sure that the people that are doing it to yourself, that's where you got to create your own boundaries. Because it's not, oh yeah, change this. This isn't about resilience alone. It's about structural stressors in the modern work. And the reality is that some of these structural stressors have to go away, but some are just going to always be there. And we have to accept that and learn how to live with it. So with that, Sumana, Ashley, your thoughts?
I have a lot to say about this, but I'll keep it succinct. I may have also put a comment.
No, you have a lot to say about burnout. I can't imagine.
No, listen, I'm going to keep it really short because I'm not going to talk a lot about burnout, but I'm going to talk about the reason behind it. Because when I saw this, there was a couple thoughts that were already kind of percolating through my brain, and I've been debating whether I want to write another blog about this in February, TBD on that one. But what I wanted to say about this particular topic was that lately, when we think about career reset, what I've been thinking about is not burnout as a workload issue. And I love that you said it's a systemic issue, but I want to maybe challenge this slide a little bit, Felipe, and have us maybe think about what happens, especially in our career spaces, when there is not a lot of flexibility in our job. There's not a lot of authority. We don't get a say in what happens. So our autonomy gets taken away from us. And that is also, of course, you know this, but that's also a reason people burn out, not just because of workload issue, but also because they feel like, well, I don't have authority to do anything. I'm stuck in this decision-making cycle, but I don't have the authority to make the decisions. So when we are facing with this constant sort of change and feeling like we don't have any control, obviously we're going to feel really, really exhausted. And obviously that's going to make us feel like frustrated and burned out. So I think burnout, so in this slide, when you're saying burnout is systemic, what I want to maybe talk about a little bit, or have the folks in the audience come up on stage and share with us, is I want us to think about burnout as what happens to us as high professionals during this career reset when it's effort without agency. We're almost putting too much effort without the agency, and that can become the reason why this is a systemic issue. And this goes back to a lot of other things. Why don't I have agency? Why am I being micromanaged? That's that systemic lens that I feel like there's a lot more to talk about it. So yeah, it isn't about resilience. And I love that you said that. And the structural stressors are in that low decision-making power, which for many professionals, I feel like we're burning out because we're going into work, especially young managers and new managers. I feel like we're almost going to work to burn out because we don't have the authority to make decisions, but we've been given these jobs where we have to make decisions. And let's not even go about talking about how we don't get paid for the work that we're doing. So I'll just stop there. I'll pass the microphone to Ashley if she's back, and love to have
hold, before Ashley gets back to the whole. She's coming in and out.
She's coming in. Okay.
But and we don't have time for you and I to debate this too much. But I agree with what you said 100%. But what my issue is, I think that your example is one of many, because I also think entrepreneurs are burning out. I think that leaders have staff that are burning out, and they don't know if it's addressable. And what I want leaders to know is it is addressable, and you do have the ability to do it. Especially if you recognize it and see it, it can't be like, oh, you're burnt out, why don't you take a day off? That's not going to solve the problem. And so I think it's important for people to realize that. But I do think that it is something that people have to take ownership. I'm trying to bring Ashley back in here, and it's not letting me for some reason.
And I do agree with you, Felipe. I think that is such an important element of this. But I also want to focus and this is great for entrepreneurs as well, because we have so much workload and we're wearing too many hats. So that lack of role clarity, not knowing whether I'm a marketer today or whether I'm an accountant today, whether I'm a content creator today or like a researcher today, that can lead to burnout. But in this great career reset conversation, I think I must have posted about this like back in December when this was sort of trending at the time, and probably still is. But autonomy, predictability, and clarity in what we're doing matter just as much as workload issues. And that is a systemic problem, because we, in our own individual systems, as an entrepreneur, I'm creating my own systems, and I can create areas where these structural stressors are causing my burnout, because I'm doing too many things, too many roles. There's nothing predictable. Everything is uncertain. That pitch may or may not, get me the revenue that I'm looking for. I don't have any autonomy on the work that I'm doing, because I have no idea what the audience feedback is going to be. So there's so much that we lose in this space. So the only comment I wanted to make on this slide is that there's more to burnout than just workload. And those are the systemic kind of elements that we need to kind of think about.
No,
That's
and I
it for
think
me.
clarity and setting those expectations clearly, because one of the big things I always tell people when I have a manager and employee, they are just not hearing each other. I said, okay, manager, I want you to put down your expectations in writing. You're not writing them up. You're just saying, here's what I expect from the job. Here's what I want you to focus on. And then sit down with them and discuss it. Because when you see it in writing, people have tendency to see it a little clearer, and they can say, oh, wait, that's not how I understood it. You said this before. Well, no, I meant this. So I think clarity is a huge contributor, or lack of clarity is a huge contributor. All right, Ashley, are you back? And how's your mic?
Hello, testing.
Yes, we can hear you.
Is that a little bit better?
It's a little bit better.
A
Yes.
little? Okay. I tried getting on my phone. That's why I had to hop out and hop back in. But I think today the LinkedIn gods have gotten me. So we might just have to deal with the bugginess.
It just sounds like Bigfoot is shaving his entire body, so that we'll just say that is happening, and that's why it's taking so long.
No, exactly. But to respond to this slide, I didn't hear the first half of both of your points, so I apologize for that because I was on my phone. But I completely agree, and I like the second half of the conversation, just about, burnout having to be a structural shift. It has to be structural. And I agree with you, Sumana, that being able to clearly define the roles and define the expectations is huge in terms of burnout. And this is me speaking with an entrepreneur hat. The reason why I got burnt out is because there were absolutely no boundaries I put on myself. I just wore every hat. I tried to do it at the absolute highest, optimal threshold that I absolutely could. And shocker, I burnt myself out. And I think that now, on the other side of it, and now that I'm still working on rebuilding, I can just so clearly see how kind of setting up guardrails in the name of sustainability, working more sustainably, putting boundaries on myself, not letting myself run rampant in all of these projects is going to help with that burnout. And in workplaces too, whether that is having conversations with your higher ups or delegating or collaborating with other people who might have the same expertise as you, these are all very small ways that could, make little shifts that will eventually make a big shift in the way of burnout. So yeah.
I love that, and thank you to everyone in the chat. Everyone's sharing so many great things. I gotta share what Gail said here, that with adaptability, the onus is on you to keep up and not depend on your company to help you keep up. For example, initiate your own training and growth and protecting your mental health. Now, some people might say, well, the company does have responsibility. And I was one of those people that have always said that. And I still believe that. But I've also realized that the best person that can do that for you, I'm starting to realize, is you. And if you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing yourself an injustice. If you find an employer that cares enough and is doing that for you, that's a good employer. It's a good sign, and you should probably look at staying with them if they have other good parts of their workplace at the same level. Um, and then, Sajith, you said a lot here, and it should be hard to share everything you said here because I can't read it all. But it's undergone a fundamental reset, and trust, one of the backbones of organization culture, has eroded, and that's the big thing right there. Trust is a huge issue. We said the COVID era acted as a powerful catalyst, exposing structural weaknesses in leadership and communication. And that is so true because you found out which leaders had trust and which leaders had an issue with trust. So it is something that there's just so much that can really contribute to the burnout, and lack of trust is definitely a huge one. But I do think that as much of a management issue as it is, like Mike here is saying, it is on us to take on our responsibility, because management's not always going to care. So with that, let's get on to our next one here because we're just rocking and rolling. All right, the third point here was financial mindset. All right, this one here was, I thought, was interesting because I wanted to talk about how the financial pressure is, and is financial pressure. Well, financial pressure is driving career paralysis. But what I thought about this was the other line: separating your financial survival from your career identity. And I think that is something that I know I was not doing, and I think that it's such a important mindset to have because your financial survival sometimes makes you lower your own career identity and the value of your career identity. What I mean by that is financial survival. Oh my God, I need to get a job. I'll take any job. Well, hold up. You just found out you need to get a job. Don't just grab any job. You have an opportunity to find the right job. And I think that we mix and match those two. And I think it's very easy to fall into that trap because we get pressure, we get anxious, we need to pay bills, we have to be responsible for children, whatever the reason may be. And so I think that financial mindset is very important. Smana, thoughts?
Yeah, and I think I may have mentioned this when you were live with Melissa on the weekend. But for a lot of us, including myself, this has been the number one stressor of 2025 and 2026 is the financial pressure. And I think I mentioned to you, Felipe, that, and I'm hearing this from a lot of young professionals and people that are switching their careers because of just how volatile the job market is right now. I've almost seen sort of this trend where people are taking, interim positions or bridge positions, like jobs that they may not particularly like want to. They may be like a couple skill levels below their skill level, but it matches their financial survival criteria, and it's able to sort of help them pay their bills, keep a roof over their head, but they're willing to take a little bit of a scale back on their skills a little bit, but and their pay obviously and their benefits obviously, just to be able to survive. But the caveat here was, don't take any job. Don't take a job that you're going to end up going to and making you miserable. And this is where I think the only comment I wanted to make was the upskilling comment is, if you are considering taking a bridge position or a strategic and intentional career, like a micro career step towards something else, make sure that you're still positioning yourself where you can either enhance your skill or you're reskilling into something else. So you're either upskilling or you're reskilling into something else. Don't take up a job as a barista because maybe that was on your vision board to be like, I'm going to go to the mountains and open up a cafe and become a barista one day. Let's pin that for later. For now, if you don't want to lose a sense of who you are, but you still need to prioritize your financial responsibilities, this is where you need to still consider those bridge positions, but be intentional about it and identify, like, what do I need to upskill? How is this going to help me reskill? Maybe I'm taking a $20,000, $30,000 pay cut, but it's helping me conserve my resources so that I can still continue side hustling and building and looking for something else. 6 month positions, 1 year positions, mat leave positions. There's a lot of those, but you may not get the director or the manager level role that you had with all those awesome benefits, but you just have to figure out, like, what am I willing to let go so that I can skill up or reskill. That's about all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I love that. I think it's important. And when you brought up the Starbucks thing, well, I was talking to Melissa Houston last week, and I said, Starbucks have great benefits. I guess if they would pay well, I might even think about going there one day. And she's like, if you go to Starbucks, I will come over to your city and I will kick your butt because you can do more than that. I'm like, okay, I won't do that. And I think she's right, because I would feel underutilizing my skills making coffee. That's not where I would be happy. It would be a temporary, like, oh, okay, I have a job, but at the end, I would be burnt out from not using my skills. Ashley, your thoughts?
Two thoughts. Sumana, I love that you mentioned about using your financial driver, your first job that will help you to survive, to continue upskilling or building or following your passion projects. I feel like in my sphere, I'm surrounded by a lot of artists and creative people, and the world of art is so unpredictable and so difficult to navigate. And it became a bit of a learning curve for me and my friends, and just figuring out, what does the world of work look like that will still allow me the mental space and the freedom to create and to do what my passion work is. And I completely see this. I think that if you are able to separate the moneymaker that will help you survive and, is essentially paying your bills, from that passionate work, whether that passionate work is art or if it's, another job that just hasn't come into your awareness yet, just taking that first little step is huge. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Simone, and I couldn't agree more. And then the second thing I was thinking of with this point was our episode. I think it was Lazy Girl Jobs. I can't remember if that was the name of the episode, but it made me
Oh,
think
yes,
about,
it was.
yeah.
Because I was skeptical about saying lazy girl jobs. I'm going to get so much hate DM by saying this. But I think there's similarity between those two shows. Absolutely. And I think that's where, look, that's where I think why there's such a rise right now in a lot of those side gigs, a lot of these side jobs that people are doing, because they're taking their skills that they upskilled and they are using that to make some money on the side. And that's with AI. AI is blowing that up more and more. People are teaching themselves how to do things because of AI, and they're going out there and trying to make money doing it. So I think that's another side that we can definitely dive into, is what are people doing to protect themselves financially. So this financial thing here is great. I will say that there's a lot of great comments. There's one that I have to highlight just for humor purposes alone. That is Mike LeBlanc. He said a lot of wonderful things. But Mike, I am not going where you go to get your hair cut, because Mike says his last gig, he took a 40,000 haircut. Not doing that again. Now, I know you meant pay cut, but I'm sorry, a $40,000 haircut, that I don't even know if Beyonce would do that. So, but a little humor there. Sorry. But with that, let's get to our next one here. And our next point is, why me? Now, I know we talked about this earlier. I mentioned it in Careers Cast and Coaching with Melissa Houston, but workers are internalizing systematic failure, and they are blaming themselves, and they're thinking, why me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do? Sometimes it really is nothing you could have done. There really is nothing you could have done when certain things happen that are business related, and it isn't you. But whether it was you or not, that mindset of what now and what's next moves you forward. If you keep on thinking, why me? What could I do? Maybe if I do this now, maybe if I call acceptance, they always say acceptance is the first step, because you can move forward. And that is something that you have to do. You have to accept what's happened that is causing you to change. whether it's AI, whether it's a layoff, whether it's a job elimination, whether it's just a change in location because you're moving, whatever the reason, focus more on what now and what next, because that's going to help you mentally and also help you get to the next level where you need to be. Sumana, thoughts?
I love this a lot. And I might have a few people in the audience come at me when I say this, but I commented on your LinkedIn post, Felipe, and I said the rules of the corporate game keep changing and shifting, and so we're almost having to keep up with the changing rules. I've heard from a lot of high performers in very intense like professions where they're noticing that nothing ever works out the way they planned. The job that once was isn't there anymore. The promotion that they were promised in spring, they didn't get that in December. What are we going to do about it? Nothing. um you may have spent years and years investing on a skill and find out that, well, no one needs that skill anymore. What are we going to do about it? Oh, AI is here, we got to learn something new. So I've been kind of battling with this a lot, and I've shared this with a few people, and people didn't like it. I guess if there was a generational difference, so I'm kind of curious as to how the LinkedIn community will take this. But I'm starting to feel, this is not my personal opinion, but I'm starting to feel that a lot of people, workers especially, we're internalizing for sure that this is maybe our problem, but I'm also internalizing that loyalty, there's no such thing as corporate loyalty anymore. I was the most loyal person in my space in public health, and anyone in healthcare will agree that when we're working in health, we just love that space of helping people. But I'm almost feeling that companies are shifting their priorities so much. There's so much uncertainty in positions and promotions and even your role title, that I'm almost like, I don't think anyone's loyal to their job anymore. The next best thing that comes up, people are willing to take that next best job. Do you offer hybrid? I'll move there. So there's so much constant change and stress that comes with it. I don't think, I mean, I feel like one of the main elements of the great career reset that I'm seeing is that the lack of loyalty in organizations. And I'm not sure how we can fix that. How do we get organizations to make us more loyal? I'm almost seeing a shift towards, I'm going to leave this job because you might fire me, so I may as well find a better job. So people are always having a backup plan because they don't feel like they can trust the workplace. I'm not sure if this is just me and if the
Oh no,
loyalty,
it's
if it's a
definitely not just you.
multi-generational thing. Yeah, go ahead, Felipe.
No, I said my wife just sat there and talked to me about your next job. You can't be so loyal, and that was because my current job is going through so much this past year. They were shrinking in size. I knew on paper it was a business decision that they were going to eventually have to eliminate my job after they eliminated 65% of the entire staff. That it's a very realistic possibility. And like William Rochelle said, it is a business decision when they're doing mass layoffs. It's we don't have the money to pay these people. We don't are not bringing in the revenue. We need to make cuts, and it is something that, when done right, it is just a business decision. Sometimes people start thinking, "Oh, I like this person. I want to save this person," and all that stuff, and that makes it messy. But I do think that it's loyalty has become something that I don't know how employers are going to get it back. I honestly don't, because there's been so much uncertainty, so many layoffs, so many outside factors outside of people's controls. And it's not like every 5 years, it's like every year now. So it's definitely something that I don't know what the answer is. And that's scary for me because part of my job is to create a safe environment in the workplace where people feel like they can be loyal. And that's something that, unless they are loyal to the mission of the company, outside of that, it's going to be a really tough uphill battle. Ashley, thoughts?
Sumana, this is definitely not only your opinion. And I just saw you typed into the chat that a possible topic idea should be how we get workplace loyalty back, which I would love. Um, Thinking about this piece, what I see is just the way that like hyper individualization exists. It's oh, I'm losing the word. It's pervasive. It's pervasive. Everybody is focused on themselves. Everybody is focused on their own growth, and it really is kind of like a survival of the fittest mindset across the board in workplaces, and making sure that we have enough outside of work. And the ill of that is that this is what happens. It's like if we are only having to think about ourselves and think about how we can get ahead because we're in constant competition, obviously we can't be loyal. There's no use in being loyal. And I think Sumana's point too about these promises that we have been told about workplaces, those are broken promises now. Workplaces just look completely different. And so that trust piece is no longer there. And I feel like specifically with regard to this like hyper individualization of the workplace and beyond, what I see as being a way to start to get some of the loyalty back is like increasing the relationality, make collaboration, put collaboration at the forefront, make people feel like they're really protected and like they can really trust each other and like it is not a competition. And that will increase the loyalty, because why would you want to move from a place where you feel safe? um and so yeah, I agree, Sumana, we have lost the plot. That is my point. We have indeed lost the plot.
And I do think that there's opportunity for people to get the loyalty back, through that relationship and being transparent. But again, there's no the job security. There's no promise of job security. That goes away very easily. Um, and I just wanted to highlight Melissa Houston had mentioned that flexibility and diversification is the only way to grow, and that we cannot control life, but we can control ourselves. And that's an important thing to remember. We can't control what the company's going to do. We can't control what our supervisor's going to do, but we have control over ourselves. So, what are we doing? What's next? All right, next one here and last one. And I'm going to put the link in the chat after this one here. Shia can join us on stage. But sustainable or settling? Are you just settling and staying in the job because you think it's safe? Or is it something that's more sustainable? And sustainability is being redefined. Choose work that gives you opportunity to tap into your strengths. It's a huge thing so that you don't burn out, so that you are building and keeping that strength strong and fresh and relevant. Um, but sometimes we do settle. If I was settling for that Starbucks job, months into it, I would be either annoying the crap out of people because I've been trying to do more, or I would just become a shell of a person. And so I think that's so important to make sure that it doesn't mean that you have to find the perfect job, that every part of the job is enjoyable and tapping into your strengths, but that parts of it, parts of it tap into your strengths, or parts of it allow you to tap into something that you're passionate about. And when you have that mix of, okay, there's some things I gotta do that I don't like, and there's some things I gotta do that I love. That's life, y'all. Parenthood, school, work, friendship. There's things that people do that you're not gonna like, and there's things that they do that they love. But you don't give up on them because they're not perfect. So an employer is the same boat. You can't sit there and expect them to have everything perfect. But if you can find those moments of passion and enjoyment and where you can use your strengths, it really is important. Um, and I see the comments here from Chase and a few other people, which we'll share. But Sumana, over to you.
I love this slide, and I know this is our last one. I'm looking forward to having some folks up and join us, and loving the conversation, and love Ashley's share. And I would love to continue talking about loyalty in the workplace and how to bring it back, because I honestly did think that, is it just me? Am I the only one becoming so cynical and starting to feel like you can't trust anyone? There's no trust, there's no loyalty, and we're all kind of thinking about life as individualistic individuals versus this collective mindset, which I'm a huge fan of. For this particular slide, the thought that came to me when I saw your Felipe's 5 was, and I've been doing this exercise myself, is trying to figure out like, what does stability even mean to me? I think before we ask ourselves the question of, are we being sustainable or are we settling, asking ourselves, like, what does that mean? What does sustainability mean to me? And what does settling mean to me? And really getting some clarity on, and doing an audit and identifying like what that is. And going back to what I said in the beginning, like every element of our life, every highs and lows and everything in between are data points that we're collecting. So these data points are telling us a story. And with that story, we might be able to create an audit and help us understand, what does sustainability mean to me? Because of course there's like a regular definition, and is that okay for right now? Is the settling component, and that's where the bridge job goes. We can tie that into that bridge position. Is maybe sometimes you have to settle for a few elements. Maybe I'm okay working 40 hours, not having hybrid work, taking a bit of a pay cut, but maybe I'm settling for like a temporary settlement. This isn't a forever thing. So this would be a question that each of us have to ask for ourselves. What does a sustainable life look like for me? And what does a settling life look like for me? And am I only settling for the time being because I need to pay my bills? I got to take care of my kids and my life. Is that what it is? But again, don't go back to doing something that you're going to suffer in. So having those key skills and strengths all across the board, I think that's really important. But doing this audit and just knowing, staying true to who you are, I think that's important. That's about all I have to say. I'll pass it to Ashley.
Ashley, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this is where imagination comes in so strongly for me, because it is really about defining what you want this part of your journey to actually look like, and what parts of it are important to you right now, what things you can maybe let go. Part of my career reset that I'm going through is redefining what that sustainable look looks like on me, and what that means for me, and what that means for my work. um and I think, again, this really comes down to imagination. Like 5 years ago, playing to win, playing to be sustainable, well, actually playing to win for me was not playing to be sustainable. It was just going, trying everything out, running after what I wanted. But now that's the definition is completely different than what I initially thought it was. And playing to win now means more balance and doing something that's more fulfilling, even if there are those gives and takes that I'm going to have to go through. So I think that really grounding down into, imagining all of the things that you could get out of whatever the pivot is, or the reset, or even the mindset shift. What is the best possible thing that could happen, and then figuring out, how can I really make this pivot work for me. And yeah, I think that there's a fine balance between sustainable and settling. There's always going to be a give and take, but being able to toe that line is a really important skill, and takes some mindfulness and some thinking about it. So love this point.
All right. Well, thank you, Ashley, and that's great points. And I love the conversation going on in the chat here. And oh, wait, hold on, I just messed up the chat. But we do have some people in the room that are going to join us on stage. But before that, there's one last slide I want to show real quick, was to take action. And this one really is just about making sure to stop chasing outdated promises and start building careers that fit today's reality. The world is changing. So name what's changing that's so frustrating that doesn't turn into self-blame. Treat burnout as feedback, not as a personal flaw. And within strength, while quietly expanding your opinion, your options. Redefine success by not just status or speed, and focus on adaptability, skills, and relationships, because that's where the security lives now. So that is the end of Flip-Base 5. I hope people found some value. It is available on my page if you all want to check it out. I'm trying to get back to the main screen here, and there we go. All right. So with that, let's bring in up our next guest here, and we have William Rochelle here, and we have Mike LeBlanc. So William, you're our first guest here. Thank you for coming up here. Please let us know your thoughts or your opinions. Mike's yours.
Absolutely. First of all, I think that this is a much needed conversation, and it was very well structured. I thank you guys for that. The first thing I want to say is that everyone out there, you know your individual resources and your circumstances. So, my suggestion during a time like this would be to get something to stop the bleeding. I've turned down some things at the beginning of my journey that now I'm thinking maybe I should have taken that. But hindsight is 2020. The second thing is about loyalty to a company. And during mass layoffs, uh, the company is looking at the books and how much runway they have. So what I've done, Sumana, especially in order to keep loyalty, is to be 100% transparent with my staff at all times. Things aren't looking great. This is where we're at, and there are people that have stayed with me all the way up to the end. They told me we're gonna help you walk out the door if the business is shutting down. So that was strictly because I was keeping them aware of the financial situation. That was back in COVID. But throughout it, I always tell people, do not blame a company or your boss for you not being where you want to be. So look at your checklist, look at where you want to be in 5 years, and the loyalty to the company versus loyalty to yourself. That that should be very easy to decide. So if you want to go be at a certain position, continue to work towards it. Those are your personal professional goals. And if you're with a great company, they're going to support you either within the organization or outside. And with that, I know that you guys are limited on time. I'm done.
I love that, Bill, and thank you for sharing that because I think that is so true. And I think financially stopping the bleeding, whether that's getting that job that you need or maybe cutting expenses that you don't need right now, it's important. But the loyalty to the company, you said it perfectly. Transparency and honest communication is what's going to keep the staff at least respecting you for the decisions you make. I know that when we had to reduce those and lay off 65% of staff, they, I'd say 80% of them asked, were more concerned, how are we doing? They kept on asking me and the CEO. And it blew my mind, but we treated them with respect. We helped them even after we separated and provided support if they needed support with, you know, the resume or a reference. But there are places out there that take it to the other extreme. Where they're like, well, it's business. It's just a very quick business decision. So just tell them and they move on. And they take the human out of it. We're already
Yeah,
going to lose a lot of the human factor with AI. Let's not lose the rest of it that we still have.
the part, Felipe, that I want everyone to hear too is that these are not ordinary times. And so when we're not in ordinary times, we can't take the burden of why did this happen to me? Who else would you give it to? And I would say no one. I wouldn't give this pain to anybody else. So why not me?
Yeah. Samana, thoughts?
Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. You're speaking my language. I think I may have said those exact same words to my therapist. Help me stop my biggest bleed. And maybe this is just me, but one thing I've also sort of learned through lots of career changes, from leaving public health to starting Jetty Wellness, and all throughout, is sometimes we get stuck in this almost, I know maybe this is just me, I don't know, and feel free to validate me or invalidate me, but sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in this loop of having to or wanting to optimize everything all at once. I want to do everything all at once, and we're not able to prioritize. And I'm having to remind myself that this isn't about there's moments in your life where it isn't about reinvention. I'm not trying to reinvent myself. This is just about stopping the goddamn bleed. That's all I need to do. And what are those kind of three or maybe just one area that I need to work on. Is it my money? Is it my energy? Is it I don't know, my identity, my ego? Like, what is it that I'm trying to focus on, and just go all in? I ended 2025 by doing a small session with a really good collaborator of mine, Samantha Fedor, and we did this session just out of brainstorming one day at her place, and it was called Learn, Leap, and Lock In. And what I took from that into Christmas and into the new year was, when I'm thinking about a career reset or even a client based or strategic pivot in my own business, it's sometimes it isn't about like a big reinvention and a big leap. Sometimes it's just a micro leap towards something that's strategic, and focusing on those big things rather than trying to do everything that my therapist always says to me. Samana, it's about containment. Contain. You can't optimize every area of your life right now, and that kind of stuck. So William, I really do want to echo everything you said. That was beautifully said. Thank you. I yield.
Ashley, over to you.
Not much else to add. I just really love the accountability of what you said, William, that, if you are in a place that you don't want to be in, there's nobody else to blame. And you said it more beautifully than I just did, but it really is as simple as that. And I think that picking up your checklist and making your choices and living in those is really huge. So thank you for that.
All right, next we have Mike LeBlanc. Mike, welcome on stage. Please tell us your thoughts about this topic.
I'm going to start with the concept, really reframing how we think about uh, revenue, because I think in the future, and we should always be thinking um, about revenue, family or personal revenue. I know we're focusing for our companies, but I think either we should have a side hustle or really think about becoming solopreneurs. I just don't think we're in a future that there is going to be, for some period of time anyway, stability, and definitely not lifelong um, stability in the job. So I think it behooves us really to look at alternative revenue streams. That's number one. Number two is, I think it's really a reframing of our mindset. I think often we don't think we have choices. We may not like the choices, but I think sometimes we're artificially limiting ourselves, including going out and starting your own business, which some of the ladies have done. I think it's important to really look at that hard as a possibility moving forward. For those of us that are a little older, I think it's really a good idea to take a hard look at our both our hard skills and our soft skills, and look at what we can do with those outside of corporate America, or wherever you're at in the world. Utilizing that skill set, whether it could be a local community college, it could be tutoring, it could be starting a coaching business, it could I think we have to get out of the scarcity mindset that the only way to support ourselves and our families is 9 to 5. So that's and I think also sometimes we have to look at, I'm looking at pivoting out of cyber. I spent prior to my current job search, I spent 3 years in job search before landing that. And yes, it was a 40 grand haircut. That's what we call it in my industry, when you take a pay cut. And that was because I literally was, I mean, I was, I was interviewing a lot. I just wasn't landing. And so that job came along. I hit that out of the park, and then I was laid off again. So I think at some point you have to say, well, what are the signals I'm getting from the market, and what do I pivot into, that I can be kind of happy doing, or more happy, or more fulfilled, and B, what is actually available? Where can I make the revenue? And then, like I said, again, maybe as we get older, looking at passive income and alternate revenue streams. That's what I got for you this evening.
Well, I love that, Mike, and you brought up so many great points. I mean, the side hustles that's a trend that's happening, and it's whether it's because of AI or the generations, those alternate revenue streams are so vital. And I think it's not, I'm not saying go out there and get like 25 different alternate revenue streams and all these. No, tap into your strengths, find out what you do best, and see if there's a market for that. If not, then go to the next strength. But, you know, I know that there's a lot of affiliations that people can do, or I think that's the right word, where they promote something on social media and they get money if people buy it from their link, and that's something that's great. Selling things on eBay can be great, but is it sustainable? Is it long term? And I think that's where you want to tap into your strengths more than a trend. But the mindset point you made, Mike, was huge, because the mindset is such a positive impact or a negative one. My wife and I were just talking about it, and she was talking to her coach about joy. And it's like so funny. It's like, okay, I just got this book that specifically is about joy. So I gave it to her to read, and she's reading it right now. And one of the stories in that book about joy, it said, it was the person who wrote the book was interviewing somebody, and it was an actress, and she was older. She was in her 90s, and she was an actress in like the late 40s. And I forget who it was, if it was Cary Grant or whoever, had said to this woman, look, unfortunately, they probably aren't going to hire you for this part. You're African American. You're a woman, but you're a fantastic actress. You really are. It's just, I just want to be honest with you, they probably aren't going to choose you. When she turned around to her friend, and her friend's like, "Oh God," and she's like, "Did you hear what he said?" She's like, "Yeah, I heard what he said." She's like, "Can you believe it?" She's like, "No." She's like, "He said I was a fantastic actress." And that's what she focused on. Now, she's somebody famous who I forget her name right now, so I'm not doing the story justice. So the point is that she didn't give up, and she leaned into the joy, the positive of what that person was saying, versus she could easily have focused on the negative, easily. And I think that's what we all can take away from that is, what can we take away that's positive that we can build off of? Now, obviously, some people can be jerks about it. This person wasn't being a jerk. The last thing I'll say is soft skills, important thing, especially now with AI in the world, but have the data, like, we know that Simona talks about how important the data is. Have the data support why the soft skills are beneficial. Don't just say because, have some reasons, have some data support it so that people will listen to it. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Sumana.
I only have one comment to add to Mike's amazing share here is and this may have come up in Felipe and Melissa's conversation that I randomly popped into, which I never do on the weekends, but just happened to be there. But it's about leveraging your relationships. I think one thing we don't always think about when we're doing our career reset, and this community right here with LinkedIn, people, mentors, peers, and I'm seeing this with the Jetty Wellness Ambassador program as well, where people are wanting to step into volunteer roles and take on opportunities just because they know that in doing so, it's going to help them create or amplify their own network, which is one of the promises I make to all of our ambassadors is if you join the ambassadorship program, I'm going to help you as well. So there's a win-win. So the one thing in this conversation that I would like as a takeaway is to remember that people on LinkedIn, our social network, our professional network, people that we meet, they're so important. And our individuals, our friends here are not just our collaborators. They will go above and beyond for you. And I know people have gone above and beyond for me. And these are people I haven't even met in real time. I've just heard their voices. So in just thinking about that, I know that relationships can, just like any other currency, I think if you invest in relationships, and I'm a big fan of this. If you can invest in relationships, they can definitely compound and give you that protection, especially when you're so stressed out in your career. And Ashley spoke about hyper individualized kind of systems that we're creating. We need people more so than ever. So I'll leave it there, Ashley.
I couldn't agree more, Simona. I always say that being an entrepreneur just showed me how really showed a light on how like rich people are and how rich I feel when surrounded by amazing people. So I completely agree with you. And Mike, I loved your share as well. You are completely speaking my language with this, and it's very clear that you are creative. I'm seeing in your byline that you're a poet and a songwriter. And yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think that right now, with everything being so unpredictable, it is just time to like bet on ourselves. And I think that now is a really fertile and ripe time to do so, and to really take the skills that we each uniquely possess very, very seriously. And I just wanted to close. I saw this quote on social media a while back, and I've just like kept it in my pocket as part of my personality. But the quote is, "The job market is so bad, I might just have to follow my dreams." And I think that that kind of sums up what you shared, Mike. So thank you. And I will pass back to Felipe.
What a great, great quote to end on. I love that quote, Ashley. And Ashley, do me do me a favor, just so you can get the visual that I have of like Bigfoot shaving himself. Go back and listen to this audio so you can hear just what I meant about that, because I think it's funny. But Sumana, you're so true, right, about relationships, and I cannot stress the importance of going out there and networking via the opportunities like events, volunteering, like she mentioned, collaborations, meetings, because that's the thing that I'll say has gotten me more opportunities than just applying and waiting for jobs in that sense or getting clients. It's been through that networking, or I've reached out and I've connected with people. I've talked to people. I let them know what's going on, and or I've checked in on them, and then they asked me what was going on, and I shared. But that networking, you have the opportunity. So it is important for you all to remember that. Now, with that being said, I will say that we have a few topics that came up that I think we could definitely do. We heard Jay, I saw you said we should do a part 2 on this. I think we could easily do a part 2. I also heard about how do we get workplace loyalty back? And I think that's an important topic to tackle. And then I'm going to throw one out here because you made a comment earlier about micro leaps. I think you said, Samana. I want to
to micro leaps.
I want to do a show about micro habits, including micro leaps, and because I think that a lot of times there are micro habits that can lead us into better habits in health and wellness, but also in career. Those micro habits and micro leaps can help us move up in our career as well. So let us know if those micro habits and leaps is a topic you'd like to hear about. Let us know if it's about how to get workplace loyalty back, or do you want to hear about part 2 from this today? I don't know, but first, before we say our goodbyes, I just want to thank everyone. Mike LeBlanc, thank you for coming up here. Charito, I see you. Thank you for being here and listening. I really appreciate you all the way from the Philippines. Let's see, who else? Gregory, thank you for the updates on the score. And let me know who you are rooting for the NFL, for the Super Bowl. Jay, thank you for what you shared. You were very engaged. I appreciated that. Gail, thank you for your wonderful insight. Excellent points that you made. Who else do we have here? Chasen, thank you, my friend. If you're not following Chasen, he does a lot of great work with nonprofits. And then we had Melissa Houston, and we had Meryl Cass, and we had Kenny, and William Rochelle, of course, and Stanley Green. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate all the support. We really want to hear from you. So let us know what topics you'd like us to cover, if it's the ones we mentioned, or if you have a different one that you'd like us to cover. But with that being said, Sumana, Ashley, what do you all have coming up? What last thoughts do you have about today's topic, and what would you all like to see coming up in the future?
I do love part 2 of this. I'm torn between 1 and 2. and also a little bit of 3. So I'm probably not the best person to be judging
Well,
or
that was a
rating it like all
great.
of
Thank you
them.
for that help with that decision making. I'll tell you what, check mark for this one. Oh, check mark for that one. Oh, check mark for all 3. Great. Thanks.
The worst data collector out there. I'm so sorry. I'm no help, but I'm also so tired because I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. So I'm losing energy as we speak. But the only thing I'd like to share before I let you go, this has been such a fantastic conversation, is just this morning we released our first digital magazine, our first digital zine. I'll put that in the chat box here.
Woohoo!
I know, I'm so excited. This took a minute. This was a minute. This took a while to compile, but you might see your name in there because there's a whole section in the magazine dedicated to the Workplace Wellness Hour. So you
Yay!
might see your name in there. You might see some quotes in there. We went back and not we, Hannah Nees, who is a co-creator of this zine, went back and listen to all of our best episodes. So we've highlighted our best episodes. We've highlighted some of our community igniters. We've highlighted some quotes that we've learned from people. So there's a whole section on Workplace Wellness Hour. We've linked your LinkedIn. So if you made it in the list, we've linked your LinkedIn to it so people can have it. So have a look. It was just for fun. I kind of wanted to do this as an annual thing, but we might be releasing another edition in the summer, like maybe a 6-month edition. But have a look. That's the most exciting thing that's coming up. And also, you already heard me share this, but all the amazing ambassadors who've joined us and some new people are joining us every day. I'm having a hard time managing all the applications, but there's some incredible people that have continued to apply. So you might be seeing a couple new names over the next couple of weeks. But that's it for me. Over to you, Ashley.
Thank you. I just signed up for your zine, so I'm so excited to get it once it comes to my inbox. For me, I've decided that I'm intentionally in a hibernation until the start of February. I'm starting school tomorrow, and I just want to, get my routine set up. But in February, I really want to get back into networking. I have met so many people through LinkedIn and other platforms, and I really miss that. I've gotten away from that. So I think that for me, what is coming is I'm going to be sending a lot of messages to folks that I want to get to know. So looking forward to doing that. And I will pass back over to you, Felipe.
Well, thank you, Ashley and Smana. And I love what you all are doing, and I love how you're taking care of yourselves, and I love all the success you're having, Smana. So keep that up. And Hannah is an amazing person. For me, I will be looking for a job, so I'll be doing that. I'm just taking, I lessons learned as you get older, you get a little bit wiser. I'm taking my time and looking at the jobs and really learning about them and making sure that I'm applying to the right ones, and I'm also applying with a lot of intent. It's especially someone like me who likes to move fast. It's very, very tempting to hit quick apply or all that stuff. Quick apply does not work, you all. It is a secondary database that recruiters almost never go to. It's not worth it. So go to the website and apply there. But outside of that, I am going to stay busy on LinkedIn because honestly, like we said, volunteering and giving back helps others, but also helps our mental health. And for me, right now, that's again pretty important, staying on top of my mental health. So I'm going to keep on staying active on LinkedIn and doing these shows with wonderful co-hosts like Sumana and Ashley. And I have, of course, Saturday, we have our Social Saturday chat, which is at 12 noon Eastern every Saturday. And then on Sunday, we'll have Careers Casting Coaching with Melissa Houston. And if you want to hear some great career coaching and a little bit of fun chaos, it's like two brothers and sisters fighting, come join us there at 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. So with that being said, thank you all for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to be back. I'm so glad to be back with you and Sumana and Ashley because I've missed you all. It's been a long break, but I'm excited about what we have. And don't forget, if you want to be a guest speaker on this show, let us know because we are recruiting some guest speakers. And if that's something that you have a topic that you think is relevant to what we talk about, let us know. Sumana?
Oh yes, and by the way, if you were a guest speaker You were featured in the digital magazine, the zine that we put together. So there's an opportunity. So if you become a guest speaker in our show, we will definitely spotlight you in the zine. It is a flippable magazine. Yes, Ashley, you can flip it like an actual magazine. So that was my vision. Felipe, I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you for taking my recommendations. I know sometimes I'll message you, be like, hey, we should talk about this. So thank you for always taking my recommendations and coming up with these amazing titles and putting up this show for us. I really appreciate you, and you always have my support, and you as well, Ashley.
Well, thank you both. And I just wanted, you always do such great research and come up with just wonderful, relevant topics. So you make it very easy. All right, everyone, listen, stay safe. And like I always say to myself, I'm going to say it to you all, remember to be confident in what you know, be curious about what you don't know and learn it, be grateful for what you have, be compassionate to yourself, and be tenacious as hell because you got this. So with that, have a great week, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Adios.
Bye.
United, together, here we stand. Savannah, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength, financial insight, tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts. Practical guidance that moves you fast. Workplace wellness hour, bring substance and spark. Together we flourish, together we make our mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. That works puts growth in the frame. So mark your calendar, answer the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.